Chapter 14. The mist rolled forward, consuming buildings and trees whole. Gil couldn't move, but Rhea acted. Her face hardened, and then she was racing down the stands, passing students, nearly running into Master Vale. She waved and pointed. Master Vale turned toward the archway, and her voice cracked out like broken glass. "To the yew tree!" The bards paused. Dancers fumbled to a stop. Then someone shrieked, and everyone seemed to notice the mist at once. "To the trees!" Master Vale called again. Her voice propelled students into motion, and 1,000 people swarmed the towering tree. Gil hurried down the stands and leapt to the ground directly before the open archway. He landed heavily and saw something small and white land in the grass, his vial of powdered horn. The mist approached the dome like a galloping stampede. Every instinct told him to turn and run to seek the tree, but he raced forward to his fallen vial. He fumbled for it, unable to look from the crashing wave of mist. His hand closed over glass, but it was too late. The mist wave crashed toward the archway. The white wall broke and swirled at the archway just before him, and now Gil saw silver gossamer spanning the opening, barring the mist. In moments, the ethereal band solidified and expanded into the same icy blue of the surrounding snowball, sealing the mist out. Gil stood up, holding his vial in numb fingers, and turned back to the tree. 1,000 faces watched him. He suddenly could not feel his legs, and there was a great buzzing in his ears. He took one wobbly step towards the crowd and fainted. "That's it," a soft voice said. Gil was lying on his back. The world was a green blur, broken by a halo of pale hair. He blinked the world into focus and realized he was beneath the yew tree, looking up at the canopy of past sigils. Upon the closest branch hung the dragon scale like a silver star against a green night. "You're okay," Rhea said gratefully. "I thought maybe you'd breathed some of the mist before Master Vale sealed the dome." She helped him to sit, and he looked around. Everyone was huddled beneath the yew tree, worried and whispering. Mist whirled and rolled outside the snowball, licking over the dome, searching for a way in. "How long was I out?" "Just a few minutes. After you fainted, Master Vale used a hover charm to bring you beneath the tree. Then she called the masters over to her, and they've been talking ever since." Rhea's voice fell to a whisper. "I'm afraid they don't know what to do about the mist. We're trapped." "A pearl is trapped in a clamshell, but it's safe," Gil said. Rhea brightened at that. "I guess so. Now we just need to dispel the mist." She looked to the cluster of masters. The masters of magic had stepped away from the larger group and were discussing fervently among themselves. Master Horatio was leaning unsteadily against the stage. Nobody was laughing at the enchanter's unsteadiness now. The masters of crafts had formed a loose ring, several paces from the masters of arts. Master Vale stood between the three factions, watching the students in the white world beyond, separated only by the dome. "How could this have happened?" Gil asked. "This attack must have been planned. Every student in Hazeltop is trapped here." "Not every student," Rhea said quietly. Gil frowned. "What do you mean?" Rhea struggled for words, stopped, and said with a strange note of hope, "Millie and Hammond are gone." "Hammond was probably caught last night. He should be in the detention hall." Gil looked sharply at Rhea. "But that will be in the middle of the mist by now. Hammond will be locked in an iron room. No protection or way out." Rhea went white and looked out into the mist again, eyes distant. "What can we do for him?" Gil felt his pouches, ran through alchemical recipes. What could they do that even the masters could not? What could you do against a mist that swallowed magic and spit it back, stronger and wilder? The answer was crushing. Silence lulled between them until Rhea whispered, "And Millie, she's not here either. Did you see her at all today?" This morning, but she said she had to grab something before the walk. I haven't seen her since. I should have waited for her. How could I? You didn't know she would be missing, Rhea said, and again her tone rose fractionally, hopefully. Do you think she's with Hammond now? Are they behind the mist somehow? It almost sounds like you want them to be responsible, Gil said sharply, an unfamiliar tang in his mouth. They're my friends, you know. Even if Hammond did make a mistake, he wouldn't do this. I know it. I know him. What aren't you telling me? Rhea's eyes darted behind Gil, and they filled with terror. Then Gil heard it, the worst noise imaginable, a slow, heavy crack. He wheeled around as shouts erupted around him. A dragon perched atop the dome, teeth clamped into the icy material. Its jaws flexed, and a sword-sized tooth punched into the dome. The adult dragon was massive, with scales green as a glade, except those around its mouth, which were bleached a colorless gray. Blood spattered the snowball from cuts in its mouth as it bit and scraped at the dome. The dragon's thrashes drove some of the mist away, and a pocket of air opened around it. Though there were several holes in the dome, the mist remained outside, looking harmless as fog. For a moment, Gil was foolish enough to hope the mist would stay outside. The dragon rose with two powerful strokes, fading into a dark shape, and then into the vast whiteness. Mist surged into the vacancy and rushed for the holes. Master Wicks acted immediately, opening a red potion and adding what looked like mudweed. Vulgar, thick smoke belched from the flask, rising and streaming out of the holes overhead. For a moment, the mist seemed to stall, unable to push through the flood of red smoke plugging the holes. But the white swallowed the red and pressed forward in one terrible moment. The mist spewed into the snowball. It spiraled gracefully, lazily, downward. Students ran, shouted. Master Horatio shouted wildly. Lights flashed in the mist. Wind tried to sweep it skyward. The very air blurred beneath the descending mist, but his spells had no effect, and he collapsed. Master Nibley traced an interlacing web, and a tangle of briars and branches grew over everyone, forming a smaller shield. It would have defended them from an army, but the mist sighed through the briars. The top of the yew tree was now lost in fog. Rhea clutched Gil, and he watched, terrified, as the mist sank branch by branch down the yew tree toward them. There was the sound of lightning striking stone as the dragon burst through the weakened dome and crashed into the ground. It rose drunkenly to its hind legs, snapping at the mist level with its head. It seemed to take a great bite from the spiraling smoke, and the air around it cleared. The dragon stumbled toward the yew tree. Bands of light twined through its legs like Gil had seen on the silver smoke, but the dragon broke them like straw. Ceremonial arrows from the squires dinged off the dragon's heavily scaled chest. The scales turned spells, runes, and potions as it advanced, one lumbering step at a time toward the tree. Suddenly, Gil understood something. Something even the masters did not know. Something only the yew tree knew. The mist was to the middle of the yew tree, although, as he had guessed, the descent above him had slowed. The branch with the dragon scale seemed even lower than before, nearly within his reach. He looked back. The dragon was snapping at the mist, and yes, he could see it for certain now. The mist was dancing away. An angry, rolling carpet, 20 feet above the dragon that could not, draw any closer. Then Master Vale was dashing toward the yew tree, and the branch above Gil bent another foot, nearly to the point of snapping. It was near enough. He jumped, and his hand closed over the warm dragon scale, pulling it from the branch. Master Vale tore a vine from the yew tree and cast it toward the dragon's mouth. The vine lengthened in the air and wrapped tightly about the snout. As soon as they touched the scales, the vines began to smoke and crumble away. Tears filled Master Vale's eyes, and she turned back to the yew tree resting a hand against the trunk. Her gaze rose to one of the great branches overhead. The air broke with a dozen thunderclaps as the limb ruptured from the yew tree and arced toward the dragon like a spear. The limb smote the dragon, driving it to the ground, unconscious. Master Flint strode toward the fallen dragon. His iron sword hissed from its scabbard. The scaled head lay before him, snuffing cinders into the grass. He steadied himself and raised his sword. "No," Master Vale said. "There are too few dragons in this world to slay one in fear. The very mist fears the dragon." Hundreds of frightened students turned toward the floor of mist hovering 20 feet overhead. There was a moment of stillness, and it seemed that everything was bound in a portrait. Dragon, masters, students, mist. Then a breath of wind warmed Gil's face. It smelled of fruit and fresh bread. Murmurs swept the crowd as though carried on the breeze, and soon they were enveloped in a pocket of fresh, warm air. An expanding pocket of air that was swelling, rising, forcing the mist out of the snowball. The air pressed the last of the mist outside and geysered through the holes in the dome. The mist retreated before the onslaught. Buildings and streets sharpened into focus as the mist tried to flee, but it could not escape the now racing wind, which whipped the mist into nothing. Trees materialized, flapping in the wind. Then all was clear, and Gil saw from the silver smoke down to Grent. A great cheer roared from the crowd. Rhea embraced Gil, and he followed suit. Someone fired off a cluster of whiz pops, and a lute began to play. The masters shook hands, grouping around the unconscious dragon. The warm breeze began to fade. Gil realized the snowflakes were gone as well. The yew tree groaned like an old rocking chair. Its many limbs sagged, and the emerald leaves dulled to a watery green. Sap oozed from the broken branch. The yew tree has protected us, but now it must protect itself and heal. Master Wicks, please procure a sleeping draught for this dragon. The better it rests, the better we do tonight. Master Clomber, if you would take a dozen of your best, I think they would find an adult dragon most enlightening. A hover charm from several of Master Horatio's students should suffice to help you move the dragon to a safe location. Master Vale turned to everyone, face pained. What riddle is this, that mist and dragon attack us? We don't yet know the answer, but this much we do. Something opposes Hazeltop. This much has always been known, but never more so than now. To the flask, all of you. Wagons will arrive tomorrow morning to bring you home for winter break. After that, she trailed off. Would Hazeltop close? The thought surfaced in Gil's mind, cold and terrible. What would he do if he couldn't study alchemy, couldn't see his friends? They will bring you back for the spring term, Master Wicks said firmly, and the other masters nodding with him. Hazeltop will be ready. Of course, Master Vale said. Now, please follow me back to the flask. You must stay there tonight while we ensure the grounds are safe. No student is to leave the flask under any condition. After me, if you please. She strode out of the broken dome. Students rushed after her, wanting to be near the master of Hazeltop. After Mist and a real dragon, Gil didn't want to think what might come next. He and Rhea funneled into the line of worried students and traced their way toward the flask. The line took a very wide berth around the dragon. They exited the snowball in silence. It wasn't long before he heard the shout. 4 squires, huddled around an unnaturally still boy, sprawled off the path. The boy wore a cook's apron. Rhea was petrified beside Gil. The boy on the ground drew a slow, peaceful breath. "He's alive!" one of the squires yelled. "By steel and stone you played me for a fool, cook. Up now, we're going to the flask." The squire sat the boy up, but his head only rolled, his breathing deep and easy. The squire shook him, but his eyes did not open. "It's like he's sleeping, but he can't wake up." someone whispered. Word traveled up the line of students, and soon Master Vale was striding back. You found him like this. Sleeping like stone, Master Vale, the squire said. What happened? She knelt, murmuring enchantments over the sleeping boy. He slept. She groaned and pushed herself to her feet. Touched by the mist, it would seem. She searched the ground. He carried no food, I can see, yet he was headed toward the ball. This day is full of riddles. Varian and Blair, take him to the Master Healer at the snowball. Tell her I will return once the flask is protected. I fear others have suffered the same fate as this boy. We will search the grounds for other sleepers. The two masonry students seemed surprised she knew their names, but they lifted the boy easily and left. The remainder of the walk passed in grim silence, each student shuffling their thoughts, knowing the only thing that had stood between them and the deep sleep of the boy was the dome and the yew tree's old magic. And a dragon, Gil thought. He felt the heavy lump in his cloak, the smooth shape of the scale, the weight of a secret. The lines slowed as students funneled past Master Vale into the flask. The silence was eerie. Ray's face was pale and frozen. Gil tried to shake her out of it. How long is the trip to the barony? A week by land, then another 2 across the mooncaps? That's a lot of traveling, Gil said. I don't mean to travel home, Ray said sharply. She seized his arm. It's my parents. I need to talk to Master Vale as soon as the iron cools around Hazeltop. Your parents? What? There you are, someone hissed. Hurry up. He's ran off. The figure was a shadow in the alley. It was only the stout form of Ash beside her that made Gil step toward Millie. What are you talking about? It's Hammond. He stole the blue book, and he's gone to Grent.